All right, goyles. Goyles. Yeah, that's a good start. Boils and ghouls, as the Crypt Keeper would say. First of all, apologies. I had to sleep earlier, and I was not feeling good, and I knew that I was going to sleep through the stream earlier, and that's exactly what happened. So, funny coinky dink, though, that's what happened Tuesday when I was supposed to do it. As I slept through it. My sleep schedule has been off, man, all week, so I got to fix that. But let's talk monsters, as this is the theme of the month, as well as mutants, which doesn't have as much of a pool to draw from. Just kidding. There are tons! Especially when you think of the 50s, like with all the mutant, giant-sized animals and those type of movies. I don't care for a lot of those, but there's going to be a decent amount of movies I throw in here that calling them mutants is a big stretch, but I like big stretches. So let's talk Adam Green's found footage. It's not even a found footage. It's like, but it always gets lumped into that category. It's like a faux documentary. Digging Up the Marrow from 2015, which stars Adam Green himself and the legendary, amazing Ray Wise. That I don't know why it went like this. He's not over here. Be cool if he was. If he was, I would do anything to talk to Ray Wise. Like, as big a Twin Peaks fan I am, as I've said on here, and David Lynch. Oh, I would kill to talk to him. Just because he'll always be Leland Palmer to me. But he's been in everything. And this guy never gives a bad performance. Ever. And it's so good in this. We see Kane Hodder in here. We see Tom Holland, if I'm remembering right. Yeah, because he was in Hatchet 2. Yeah, he's in here. A few other directors and stuff. Mick Garris, I think, is in here also. But for anyone who hasn't seen this, it is a fake documentary, mockumentary of Adam Green playing an exaggerated version of himself, kind of like Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And he gets approached by Ray Wise's character and starts giving him these stories and experiences that he's had, and that he knows that monsters are real, like actually real, and that they live underground. And he calls the spots where they come out the marrow, like the entry into where they live underground. Now, I like how they play back and forth on this guy can be completely out of his mind, which is what you and Adam Green start to think as the movie goes on. And it could be all true, and that monsters are real. And it's pretty heavily implied at the ending that that's what's going on here in this movie, that monsters are real. So let's talk Digging Up the Marrow. I'm JT. Come join us. So we see a bunch of people in the horror community talking about monsters and how they grew up loving monster movies and horror movies in general. And we see Steve Martin, who's the executive producer for Terrifier 2, who I interviewed on the channel. That's funny because I always said that he looks so familiar. And then now I know why. From the beginning of this movie, we see Tony Todd, who's just fantastic. Just his fucking voice is absolutely iconic. But cool little opening getting to see all the like horror community. Is that one of the members of Guar at the beginning here? I'm not a Guar fan, but it looks like one of the guys from Guar. And Don Coscarelli, who's an amazing director. He did all the Phantasm movies and Bubba Hotep and John Dies at the End. And I got to start doing more Don Coscarelli, besides from the Phantasm movies, which are coming this month. And fucking finally, because I did like the first movie like 5 months ago or something. Adam Green, for a sec. I absolutely adore him. Like, I'd love to get him on the channel, but that's a long shot to say the least. But he seems like such a humble dude. Like he really does. Like from like interviews and behind the scenes for like the Hatchet movies. Like I love his Frozen movie. His movie Frozen, I should say. His first movie. It's more of a thriller. It's not really a horror, but it's great. And then Hatchet is one of my favorite slasher franchises of the 21st century. I've never really saw his show Holliston. I think I've seen maybe an episode or two. It's just like I think it's mostly just like follows his life and stuff. I could be completely wrong, but it's been so long since I've checked that out. But just for making Hatchet alone and creating Victor Crowley, it was just a modern slasher icon. This guy should be legend status. Like same for like making inventing Jason or Freddy or Michael or like same level. It's amazing what he did with the Hatchet franchise, and he just seems like such a like a grown child. Like he seems so happy, like when he's filming scenes and stuff. They show here like him filming stuff, and he gets a certain shot, and he just like woo, like he's like a little kid at heart, and he just seems like such a cool dude. So like watching him like lead in this movie as it just like follows him, no complaints because I can fuck with Adam Green for sure. Dude, the fact Adam Green's wearing a t-shirt with his movie Frozen, that it just says Frozen, but it's like stretched on the sides at the beginning and the end, like the Metallica logo, like Ride Lightning, especially the album. That's fucking awesome. And now Adam Green goes to meet with William Dekker, which is Ray Wise's character, and he says he's a former police officer. Pretty sure it was Pittsburgh that he says eventually that they try to track him down. But everything with Ray Wise in this movie is fantastic. Every line he delivers, everything, just like him in every movie. So I'll just blanket that. His whole performance is fucking fantastic. And then he starts giving his whole speech on how children could be born deformed, and I like all the like the actual pictures they show of like deformities and like fang teeth and like babies like just severely deformed and everything because I love seeing babies severely deformed for some reason. But awesome, like all the photos that they show and stuff while he's talking, and his whole speech here is just brilliant. His whole interview. And then he says that there is a whole metropolis underneath the ground, about 100 meters down, did you say? Pretty sure, maybe. But far the fuck down, but not too far. You don't want to burn to death from the Earth's core. There is a whole thriving city of these deformed people that are labeled or would look like monsters. Now, this is a conspiracy theory that, and we hear a little bit about this and touch on this in Jordan Peele's Us with the tethers, that there's whatever amount of thousands of underground highways and stuff and abandoned mines and everything in the United States, kind of touching more on that conspiracy theory that there's a whole bunch of underground highways and stuff, and that we've been working with aliens for decades and they live underground, and there's secret bases that we know some exist, and you can go down a whole rabbit hole just discussing all of that, but we don't have time for that, unfortunately. But just the idea of it is intriguing and terrifying at the same time. Like he says, it all same stuff goes down there that happens up here. Like marriages, friendships, like creativity, all of that. They just thrive in their own little deformed monster world below the marrow in these metropolises that stretch throughout the whole United States. Like he has it mapped out, like where the marrow, because once they get found, then they seal up the entryway and they move on to somewhere else. And he's tracked them a few times over the decades since he was a kid. Like he's been seeing these monsters since he was a kid. Then he starts telling I gotta say it again. Ray Wise, he deserved some type of fucking award for this movie. Like, he really did. This is such great acting from him. And like I said, everything is. But God, he kills it in this role. Like, that he comes off a little unhinged, but he still seems sincere. That you can believe this guy or want to believe him, as crazy as what he's saying sounds. He doesn't seem like an absolute loon. Like, he didn't overplay it. He didn't like he didn't overact and make it sound like he's too like off the rails. Like, he's sincere, even though what he's saying is fucking insane. And he definitely seems a little not stable up there. Like, he played it perfectly, and just this whole long like interview is he shines in this. He just keeps on going, and he just kills it every minute. Amazing. But he said his first childhood encounter with one of these monsters, he was playing at like some factory or like a wood pile or something like that, and he saw this alien, this monster, that his eyelids closed this way instead of the normal this way, and he's never seen anything like that in his life, and he was freaked out. Then he just up and vanished, the monster. And then he's been tracking these things ever since. Now, of course, the first thing any rational person is going to think is this person is psychotic. Like, this person is a schizophrenic or something. He has hallucinations. He sees things and stuff. That would be anybody's first stop on the theory list of what the validity of this guy's story is, that this guy's just completely mentally ill. 100%. Who's just gonna jump to, oh, yo, I believe this guy. He's right. I mean, come on. Like, everyone is thinking that this guy's not there. That he just is imagining all these things. He's delusional, anything like that. And you start to feel bad for him as the movie goes on, as it kind of points in the direction that he is lying and making this up before, we find out at the end that he's not. But we feel bad for him because we start to think that he is this sick. Like, he is just this mentally ill guy. And he's been right the whole time. And Adam Green's reactions and his, like, responses back to him, like, as brief as they are, some of his responses are great. Like, when he says that, like, when Ray Wise says that, he's just Ray Wise. Every video I've talked about with him in the movie, Ray Wise throughout the whole thing. But Dekker, or whatever his name is, but he's Ray Wise. But Dekker ends up, now I forgot what I was going to say, because you fuckers. Yeah, all the responses between Adam Green, like when he's saying that he felt crazy sometimes, like talking to his imaginary friends in the woods, and he laughs, and then Adam Green just looks at the camera, like, and has like a grin on, kind of, like, but it's subtle, but I like it. And whoever did all the drawings of the monsters that he's claimed he's seen, that he has all over his place, fucking great job. Like, all the monster designs look amazing in this movie. Like, just things that, like, just look unimaginable. That just, like, almost Lovecraftian. That, like, you couldn't comprehend it if you saw it in person. Whoever did the designs, great job. And so, yeah, he says it's been 30 years that he's been collecting all the information he has and the drawings and tracking the marrow and the new entrances. So 30 years he's been doing this. And then that's when Adam points out and we see the door with the mega big ass lock on it and wonder what that is. So nice job of planting a little extra mystery there. And I love how his wife, when they're filming dinner, and he says that, what if he's right? What if this guy is for real? Like, what if monsters are real? And he starts saying, like, isn't that what you've always wanted? Like, to his camera guy, I forget who he is. But, like, as horror fans, like, since you were young, like, didn't you always wish that these monsters were real? Now, this raises a nice debate and discussion. If monsters were real, as horror fans, what would your reaction be? Would you be excited? Would you be terrified? I'd be fucking terrified. Like, are you serious? Come on. I mean, as cool as it would be to know that it's real, I mean, come talk to me when Freddy Krueger's fucking playing with you like a human marionette before cutting the strings and making you fall to your death. Let me know like how cool the shark from Jaws is as he's ripping you in half with his big ass teeth in the water, and you have one last gasp of fucking life before you realize you're just ripped in half and die. Like, come on. Like, we love these monsters, we love these villains, but would it really be a great thing if they were real? Because we know how uncompromising they are in most situations. They can't be talked to. So no, for me, that's a hard no. Like ghosts, aliens, that's something different than like monsters. And I know this sounds ridiculous when I'm thinking about it. It's like yeah, monsters, no way, man. But aliens and whatever else, that's fine. But that's how I feel. So, would I want monsters and like all the horror icons that we've had to exist? Absolutely not. What about you? What would you like to exist? So they, the camera guy, Dekker, and Adam Green go to check out the entryway to the Marrow. And they have to deal with that dickhead sheriff at the beginning who kind of gives off a little ominous vibe because he starts saying, like, just the park is closed at dusk. And Adam, like, starts fucking with him. He's like, yeah, but, like, what specifically, like, is the reason? He's like, it's the same response. And he's like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, thank you. And then Dekker said that this guy has given him issues and harassed him a few times. So he's dealt with this sheriff before. Will is the camera dude filming everything, Adam Green's friend. Okay, so when the monster finally shows up for the first time. Now, I've paused it twice and rewatched the scene once. I can't see anything there in the woods. So I really don't think there is anything there. Like, you would think maybe like put something like really far in the distance, like almost completely shadowed out, but it doesn't seem like there is. Because Dekker starts pointing out and saying, there's one of them, like, shit, turn the camera light off, and it's over there, like, see, like, right over there by the tree, and I'm looking at a tree and shit. I mean, there's a lot of them, but I'm looking at the tree that he seems to be pointing at. I'm looking everywhere. Nothing. And then he says that, like, he comes out here almost every night. He tries to, because he doesn't sleep much. And that some nights he'll see a few monsters come to and from that area, from the entry to the Marrow. Some nights he'll see one, maybe, and a whole bunch of nights he'll see none. So you never know what you're going to get, he says. And then after a few seconds of trying to look for this thing that Adam can't see, and same with Will, it's gone. Like, nah, it disappeared. So, of course, and I love Adam Green's reaction to that, how he looks at him like, this guy's a psycho. Like, come on, this guy is mentally ill, is what everyone's reaction would be, like I said. If you like fucking loaded tots, you're going to be happy, because Domino's got you covered, baby. Feel like a game of Pong. I love when he sits down with Dekker again, and they're having another interview, and he's holding up the picture, and it's a cool looking monster. And his name is Vance. He's named these monsters that he's seen before, and I love when Adam asks him like, "Why Vance?" And he's like, "Because that's what I wanted to call it." Awesome delivery from Ray Wise. I've said that before, Ray Wise. I love when he starts saying that like sometimes a year it's a little more conducive for like the monsters to be more around, and he says that like Halloween because that's when they can actually fit in like the one time a year. And when Adam Green says he's a big fan of Halloween also, and that it's when the spirit world is closest with our world, and he's like, it's kind of like that, and he's like, no, it's nothing like that. Man, his delivery just kills. I'm gonna keep saying it. Kills in this. But then, he starts showing off more, and he says here that because Adam Green asks him, "Who, did you paint these? Like, they look fantastic." And he said, "No, he had them done by another artist." But then we find out a little later that he has a son, possibly, right? It's been a little bit since I've seen this, but pretty sure that he has a son and his son drew them or something like that is what's implied. But I could be wrong, but that's what I remember. Who knows? And now, night 2, off to the Marrow. Now they're using night vision, and they're gonna see if they can spot any monsters this time. And we get a great fucking jump scare. Now again, he points out a monster behind a tree and says, "Wait, you see it? Do you see it there?" No one sees shit because there is nothing there. So, but then he says that it's right in front of them. And Adam's screaming, if something's there, I want to see it. Turn the light on. He turns the light on. And great jump scare, man. You have this big ass blue monster with a huge head and shit, like right in front of them, and screams in their face. And then just fucking books it. And they're just in shock. They're like, "Oh my god, what the hell was that?" And the creature design, like I said, like not just the drawings, but the creatures too, like look excellent in this movie. See, his editor's got the right idea. He shows the footage to the editor, and he says if that's a makeup job, that's a damn good makeup job, which, I mean, makes sense. I mean, how does this guy Dekker, unless he knows people? I mean, it's still possible. You're not gonna unskeptic me with just that. Even though that is fucking weird, but you know that he could have somebody paid to be there and dressed up in a costume, and they bring that up. But the editor says, like, when Adam says again, like, wouldn't you want these monsters to be real? Like, you have a whole sleeve of horror stuff. Like, you wouldn't want these to be real? He's like, I don't know about this necessarily. Like, aliens, maybe. See? Fucking good thinking. And then Kane Hodder makes his awesome entrance, and he sits down to watch it. Man, I love Kane Hodder so much. Like, every time I mention him, I always got to put this plug in for his documentary. If you haven't seen Kane Hodder to Hell and Back, what a great fucking documentary. And it'll make you feel for Kane Hodder and love him as a human being even more so if you haven't seen it. Like, so good. I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi, but check that out if you're a Kane Hodder fan if you haven't seen it. But Kane Hodder immediately, he's like, "Yeah, who did the makeup?" Like, he's like, "No, this is real." He's like, "Yeah, all right. Like, what's it for?" Like, so Dekker and Adam meet up again, and Adam says that, like, you called us to shoot, and we need monsters. Like, we need something to shoot and not disturb them. So Dekker says that is there a way to do that, and they propose to put up like a street lamp, like a very not too bright street lamp, and then put little cameras up and strap them to trees around the area. They have no lights on them, so the monsters will just think that somebody installed a lamp in the middle of this forest, I guess, and they won't be suspicious. And then they're just going to roll the cameras. That way no one has to go in and out and change batteries and nothing like that. They can just roll and roll and roll. And they can finally see if fucking things are coming out of there. And I think the real moment that we really start to question Dekker is when we find on the security tapes that, or security tapes, the cameras, whatever, that he was shutting the cameras off. And then he was like going into the hole in the ground, the entrance to the Marrow, and looked like he was feeding something, but it also looks like he's a fucking deranged man. That's when we really start to think this guy is, I don't know about this guy. This guy's not my kind of guy. Points if you get that reference. I love when he starts playing his favorite song, and Adam asks him, who is it? And he's like, I don't know. His favorite song. He doesn't know the artist who plays his favorite song. That's funny. But then he starts saying that he's discovered over 40 species, I think he says, of these things over the last few decades. and that there's only been like a half dozen entrances to the Marrow that he's found. And Adam Green asked him this, do you only see them like in cemeteries, like creepy cemeteries, he says, or the woods? And he says sometimes those places, sometimes other places. And he says that he's seen them at the IHOP. And Adam says IHOP? He's like, yeah, IHOP. They love pancakes. Everybody loves pancakes. That's brilliant. That's so hilarious. Dude, the design of the monster he names Umbrella, fucking awesome. It's just like this tall woman-like creature, but like a deformed face, but with an umbrella that covers her face, and the umbrella has her eyes on it. That looks so fucking cool. And apparently, Umbrella picked up a drunk college kid one night, and he tried following them, and he lost them. But then a few weeks later, a body showed up on the shore. So apparently, Umbrella is a sexual deviant as well as a monster, as well as an umbrella. And this is when he reveals, probably makes Adam rethink wanting these things to exist, saying that some of them are dangerous and some of the monsters aren't. But yeah, now let's see how happy he is to run into these things. And we do. And we do. And we do. And we do. I'm just fucking with you. And then the woman who's working on the TV show Holliston, she mentions, I'm not working on the Monster Project. Quick plug. If you haven't seen the Monster Project, that's on Tubi. Awesome found footage movie. Like, even if you're not into found footage, or like, mostly if you're not into found footage, but this movie, once shit hits the fan, it is relentless and does not stop until the end. So, and I was fortunate enough to have the director Victor Matthew on months ago on the channel. Awesome guy, and he brought up some nostalgic shit. So awesome movie. Check that out if you haven't seen the Monster Project. But she starts saying like they have a show to make, and I like how this shows like how deep Adam gets into this, and that he's so just engrossed by this idea and so hoping that this is real and this guy isn't a kook, that he's willing to just put off his TV show, and just he's not into it at all. He's fully on board on this whole monster thing with Dekker, and I think that's shown very, very well. Like, and then again, I feel for Adam. Like, he's such a nice guy, he seems. So then they go and collect the cameras, and they actually see a monster crawling out of the hole from the Marrow. And Dekker says he's never seen one like that species. And he says to Adam, you want to name it? And he names it Derringer. So now it's starting to look like there's more credibility to this guy. And of course, it could just be some dude in a suit, so it's not really. And then this is cool when we get to see the convention scene, and we get to see all the directors and actors. Really cool that we get to be inside a convention for a bit. We see the great Tom Holland that Adam starts talking to and saying about this guy, and that he's showing him the footage. And this is when he finds out that he's gone to everybody. Every director, horror director, he's gone to John Landis, he's gone to John Carpenter, he's gone to Tom Holland, he's gone to, like, everybody. And everyone thinks he's fucking crazy. And Adam just feels wrecked by this news. Like, you could see it. And they even mention, like, Mick Garris says, I found the Marrow. So it's like they know exactly. They've heard all this before. And what a blow that must be to him. And then he meets him again, Dekker, and he point blank asks him, and says, have you ever asked anybody else? And he says, no, just you. So he's lying, and this is when we start to really suspect this guy. And then we see the footage that Adam and his editor are looking at of Dekker back at the Marrow and shutting off all the cameras except for one of the cameras, so he probably didn't know how many were there. And you see him at the hole, the entrance to the Marrow, and it looks like he's feeding something. And then they see the next night that he's by the marrow, and he starts crying by the hole, and he's like sobbing. So, man, my thoughts would be all over the place. Like, what the hell to think about this guy? Still psycho. So Adam is trying to still like rationalize this and cherry pick things to believe because he still wants this to be real. But he says to the editor and Will that he thinks that this is maybe some type of psychosis, and that maybe that he mentioned that his son. That he was talking to Will in the forest and he asked about his kids and he was all over him about his kids. And then when Adam was interviewing him one of the times, he said, "Who painted these?" And he said, "My son." And then he started asking him, "Oh, you have a son?" And he just totally shut down about it. So he thinks maybe his son died and this is all a delusion in his head. And this is when they remember that he was a police detective and they go to try to track down to make sure, it's Boston, not Pittsburgh, to make sure, see that this guy was an actual police detective. I mean, he's only half lying. He's not police, but he is kind of a detective. He's been following these monsters around for decades. So he should have just said, "I'm a former detective." And then he wouldn't be lying or accused of anything. Off to Boston. And turns out nobody's ever fucking heard of this guy. There's a guy working for the police in Boston for 24 years. He's never seen this guy. Nothing. So Adam gets pretty mad about this. And he said that he did say, the cop, though, even if I knew something, I couldn't tell you. So Adam's still trying to rationalize this and trying to just believe and just trying to prove this is real. And, well, he gets proof in the end soon. And I love this whole ending, man. The last 20 minutes of this movie is just beautiful. And now Will and Adam go to the Marrow by themselves. Even if it's going to piss off Dekker, they want to be there one night for a little bit without Dekker there. So that way, if this is a prank that he's putting on, obviously, he's not there. So he didn't have time to plan anything. I love Adam's line, and it's so true, when he's like, "I like how in the daytime, you're like, I'm in the forest, but at nighttime," and he shines a flashlight in his face, he's like, "I'm in the forest." That is so true. It's so fucking creepy in the forest at night. That's why I've never went camping. I mean, I have once, but never again. Never since then. I'm not a camper. I like the outdoors, not for too long. Now, Adam stupidly, he doesn't believe in this. Stupidly, though, goes to the hole and puts his head in and goes, "Hello!" Loud as shit, echoing everywhere. Echo, echo, I echo, echo. And he plays the whole age-old prank of, it's got me, it's got me. I'm just fucking kidding. Like, haha. And then he starts doubting everything. That this probably just had a guy in a Halloween mask, a friend of his, and that this is all bullshit. Then he gets pulled into the ground a little bit, his leg, and his boot gets taken off. Like something just came up from the ground and took his boot. And he's starting to freak out because what the fuck is this? Like, where would his boot go, though? That his friend is, like, skeptical of this. Like, and then, like, Adam says, like, "All right, you go in and reach. There's nothing in there." There's no fucking way I would reach in that hole, man. Are you serious? His boot is gone. It didn't just disappear into the dirt. And then I love we just get a huge creature fest here. But he reaches down at him and he gets his boot. Then Dekker, jump scare. He's there. "What the hell are you doing? Like, you guys are going to ruin everything." And they're saying, "Well, in case you were orchestrating things, we had to be sure. And you had no right to come here." Great argument. And again, did I mention Ray Wise and his performance in this movie and in everything? Fantastic. And then while they're arguing, then this little fucking creature comes running at Will. And he gets it on camera. And it looks fucking freaky, man. Dude, all the creature designs look fantastic. The blue thing that has a calmer face and then like lifts it up and it's a real like skull looking face. Awesome. And they run to the car because, they're freaked out because they're getting chased by people only a mothers could love their faces, and only like a deranged mother or something, because Jesus, these are not people with deformities. These are straight up fucking monsters. And then we see Vance, the pumpkin head looking thing that's wearing the sack. And then he just throws his sack off and has multiple arms and shit. Like, it's like and climbs on the car. It's like, yeah, now these aren't Halloween costumes. The design on Vance looks fucking fantastic. And awesome that earlier when he showed the picture of Vance and he said, like, he probably wears a sack over his head because what's underneath is too much to take. He was fucking right. And no matter what he did lie about who he took this to beforehand, and whether he worked for the police department, all of that is out the window. Doesn't matter. Null and void. This guy was correct on everything. Like, this guy's been following these real monsters. Real monsters! For decades. And they really exist. Gotta hand it to only Ray Wise could discover real monsters. And now Ray Wise is losing it on Adam and Will, saying that now you ruined it. And they're still saying they don't know what they saw. Yo, this Vance motherfucker jumped on top of the car and was crushing it in. Come on. Like, he even said, like, the makeup was good. Like, if it was makeup on the first monster that jumps in front of them for that great jump scare. Come on. What makeup is that? What Halloween costume is that shit? But he's like, yo, they're gonna leave. And he says he was a private detective, and we still don't know if he's full of shit. It seems like he is. But he's saying that they're gonna leave now, and that they know that we've discovered them, and they're gonna seal up the entrance and move on. And he just throws a fit, saying, just get out. Like, I need to think. He's getting emotional as hell. He's like, I'll meet you guys here at sunrise. And they show up, and he ain't there. And then he finds out that not only is he not there, the neighbor says that nobody lives there. So this guy's just been squatting in this house for who knows how long. That it's been empty for a year, is what the neighbor tells Adam. And everything is cleared out of the house. Like, all the maps, the drawings, sketches, everything. So this guy just fucking bailed. But the chain, the mega lock on the closet, it's open. And there are spoons in there, and there are chains in there. So he's been keeping one of these things in here, and it's heavily implied it was his son. And Will's like, where are we going? He's like, we're following him. He's like, I'm not going down that goddamn hole. He's like, we're not going down the hole. Relax. I'm like, yeah, good. Have some common sense. I'm not going down the fucking hole after what you've seen. And the Marrow entryway has been sealed. It's been puttied up. If anyone, they'll get that if they saw it. So Adam's recording his final video on this project and saying that a month has gone by and he's tried calling him, and then after 2 weeks it went to, this number's been disconnected, and he had camera 2 delivered to him, and now he's about to watch it. And we start seeing the recording play out, and it's Dekker walking down into the Marrow through the hole and just branches and shit, and this is awesome. I love this ending. Oh, that's right, it's not Dekker filming, someone's filming, and then you see Dekker in a cage, naked, just saying, my name is William Dekker, and start saying that monsters are not real, like, the monsters aren't real. So obviously monsters are real, and they took him captive for, I guess, spreading the news about them. And then we get the scene with the same thing, presumably another monster, going into Adam's house, which is creepy as shit. I've talked about this once or twice, like a while back on the channel. That's just like when you're sleeping and having somebody come into your room when you're sleeping, that's when we're most vulnerable. And that's the most terrifying thing, that you could be sleeping and then just someone could fucking bash your head in and you're dead. It's fucking terrifying. The monster, you can see his shadow. He's like a big fat motherfucker too. And the monster goes over to Adam's bedside, starts filming him for a bit, which is so creepy, like I said, and then just slams the camera down, and him and his wife wake up, and boom, the end. Such a fun movie. Like, I absolutely loved rewatching this. And what a nice movie to kick off the monster theme. If you guys have favorite monster movies, put them in the comments. So that way I'll add it to the list. And mutant movies. As I said, there's not as many unless you count all those giant fucking animal movies. But, alright, guys, I might have something else out later. I might not, so who knows. But, wherever you guys are from, almost forgot my whole outro. Wherever you guys are from, hope you're having a good morning or night, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.